working on two things, steel plant,
She didn't read the contract, she didn't read the contract, and she didn't read the contract. According to Canada's food price report, when the Liberals took office, the cost of a basket of groceries was $8,300. Now, it's $16,800, double. Liberal inflationary deficits and taxes on farm equipment, fertilizer, food processors have all exploded the cost of food. Tomorrow, that same report will be released projecting the cost for next year. Given the Prime Minister's promise to be judged by the prices at the grocery store, how much will Canadians have to spend on groceries to survive next year?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let's get our numbers straight. The Canadian economy is the strongest growing economy in the G7, 2.6% annualized. Canadian wages are growing faster than inflation. For every month that this government has been in office, 3.2%, over 2.2%. Unemployment is down, wages are up, the land is strong, we're moving forward.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, here we go, folks. And I invite Mr. Carney to keep saying these things, because it's really going to start ticking Canadians off that are swing voters. Why? Because this is the same garbage that they've heard for the last 5 years. And when he says, we have the strongest economy in the G7 at 2.6% annualized. So, wait a minute. What he's saying there is they fudged some numbers to make last month look really, really good. And they are now saying, you stretch that over the whole year, and that's 2.6%. And that completely discounts the previous 2 months where the economy was actually shrinking, right? So that's what they're doing here. And that doesn't give a lot of comfort to all of the Canadians that are losing their jobs at mills, that are losing their jobs at auto plants, and losing their jobs around the country because businesses cannot afford to actually do business in Canada anymore. And for him to stand up and say, well, wages are going up, things are great, we're strong, we're moving forward. Meanwhile, all these Canadians are losing their jobs. You're not going to be able to convince a Canadian that just lost their job, hey, don't worry, everything's great. That's not going to happen. And this is what swing voters need to start waking up to.
Mr. Speaker, as you walk down the grocery aisle, watching the prices rise before your eyes, know that the Prime Minister, who stashes his cash in a tax haven, says that you've never had it so good. You, the Canadian people who have seen your grocery bills literally double under this government, from $8,300 to $16,800 in a decade.
Shameful.
Tomorrow, we will find out in the Canada Food Price Report how much groceries will cost an average family next year. Given the Prime Minister has promised to be judged on the price of groceries, will he tell Canadian families how much they'll have to pay to survive?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, what this government is happy to tell Canadian families is we cut their taxes for 22 million Canadians. We cut the taxes on first-time home buyers. And we are investing. We are investing a budget which the Leader of the Opposition and the members opposite voted against. A budget that is going to cause $1 trillion of investment in this country over the next 5 years, grow jobs, grow futures for Canada. We believe in Canada. Come join us.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
$1 trillion in investment in Canada. So, please explain to me how, if everything is this good, and maybe the swing voters, maybe the Liberal supporters can explain this to me and all of these other Canadians, if Mark Carney going around securing all these investments that are not actually investments. They're just trade agreements. And trade agreements doesn't mean we're actually going to be getting more money into this country. Just saying. But if things are so good and Mark Carney is doing such a wonderful job, why are we seeing daily reports of companies laying off hundreds or thousands of workers and those companies leaving Canada or moving production? You're going to have to explain that to me, because as someone who had worked in corporate Canada for about 20 years, someone who has been at the senior management team tables a few times, and someone who has done a lot of work on contracts and on international politics and the effects on Canada and business in Canada, you're going to have to explain that to me, because that doesn't make any sense at all. If Mark Carney was truly doing a really good job and encouraging investment, then you wouldn't see these places shutting down. You would see these places standing up and hiring more workers. It doesn't make sense, and if it doesn't make sense, it's not true.
We voted against this Prime Minister doubling Justin Trudeau's deficit, which will drive up groceries even more. And what's he spending the money on? On corporate bailouts for companies that ship jobs out of Canada. The Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and have a deal by July 21st. Still no win, still no deal, still no elbows. And now 1,000 workers at Algoma Steel are losing their jobs. We now learn that the Prime Minister gave $400 million to the corporate executives of that company without any job guarantees. How is it the Prime Minister could have been so incompetent to saddle Canadians who can't afford to pay their bills with a $400 million bailout bill without any guarantee of jobs staying in Canada?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, these are difficult times in Sault Ste. Marie, and our hearts go to the families. But as I quote the CEO of Algoma Steel, that there would be an even darker day if this government hadn't acted. Exactly. That loan, that support, saved 2/3 of those jobs. That loan, that support gives Algoma a bridge to the future that we are building strong in this country and that they voted against.
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
As long as the CEO is happy with the $400 million gift he got from the Prime Minister, that's all that matters to these Liberals. He didn't give the workers a bridge to the future, he gave them a bridge to the unemployment lines, 1,000 of them. 1/3 of the workers at Algoma in Sault Ste. Marie have now lost their jobs after the Prime Minister paid to have those jobs shipped abroad. How is it that he could be so irresponsible with the money of hardworking Canadians that he would pay a corporate CEO $400 million to send 1,000 jobs south?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Okay, this is a brilliant attack by Pierre, because Carney's on the defensive. He had to respond to it, and when you're not attacking, you're defending. And then Pierre gets to respond to that defense and keep piling on. So the fact that Carney said, well, you know, we paid $400 million and we saved the other 2/3 of jobs. $400 million? 2/3 of the... So you're saying 2,000 people, right? You're saying 2,000 people is $400 million. That's basically how that works out. I don't know about that. And that's kind of a surprise to see, you know, here's $400 million and we're still laying off 1/3 of our workforce and 1,000 jobs are gone. And this is the narrative Pierre is creating here. Like, listen, you pay these guys $400 million and they still gave away 1,000 jobs. It's not a good look. Not a good look at all for Mark Carney. And here's the other question. What about all these other businesses that don't get bailouts, right? That don't get this support money and they have to close permanently? Because there's a lot more than 1,000 workers that are out of a job from that perspective, let me tell you.
Mr. Speaker, may I quote a Conservative leader that's actually in office? The Premier of Ontario. We had a choice. We had a choice. Save 2/3 of the jobs or let the company go down. We chose the future. We chose the future for Algoma Steel so they can invest in the future, so we can buy Canadian, so we can build this country. They had an opportunity to vote for that future. They voted against it. It's good that we're here.
And this is the Liberal way, folks. They caused this mess in the first place. And then what is their solution? Spend money. Just throw money at it. Oh, well, we know we set the house on fire, but yeah, well, you know, we're gonna come and put it out 2/3 of the way through it burning down. So you should praise us. You should be thankful for us. And if you talk down us putting out that fire that we started, that means you're talking down Canada. This is the logic that the Liberals are literally spouting every single day. And Canadians need to start waking up that this is the exact same practice and the exact same narrative that Canada's been going through for the last 10 years. You cannot blame Conservatives for anything that has been going on in this country for the last 10 years.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Liberals love to give corporate bailouts and handouts to companies that ship jobs out of our country. Now we learn the Liberal government has pledged $15 billion or $1,000 for every tax-paying family in Canada, people who can't afford food, to Stellantis. And Mr. Speaker, investment is fleeing this country almost as fast as the Prime Minister is running out the back door of Parliament right now. Why won't he?
The honourable member knows that that's offside. The honourable member knows. To the next question, which is also that of the Leader of the Opposition.
Pierre definitely knew it was offside, but what was important? He got it on the record. That's what was important. And Pierre doesn't normally do this, right? So we've seen this start to occur where Pierre does the leaders round, which is normally at the beginning, and then the leaders debate, and then it goes to other people in the party. But what it seems like Pierre and the Conservatives have started to do was, after the Bloc goes through their round, Pierre's starting to stand back up. And why? Because he knows that Mark Carney is probably done and is going to leave, right? So the fact that he will continue asking a question when he knows that the leader round is done and he knows that Mark Carney is going to leave. It's playing this cat and mouse in politics and using question period because it's virtually the most watched section of politics with Canadians to show that I'm still standing up and asking questions. The Prime Minister is running away from me. The Prime Minister is afraid to debate me. That's the narrative, right? And when you set the narrative, you get to set the perception. So it's very interesting that Pierre and the Conservatives have switched this up a little bit, and this is not the first time he's mentioned Mark Carney leaving question period, as many of you know. So it's interesting that he's starting to put this out there. And you keep doing this, and you keep getting warned, and that's fine. I imagine he's going to keep doing this, and he'll be warned, and then he'll stop. He'll push it to the line just before he gets named and kicked out. But it's to make sure that Canadians of all stripes can see that I'm still here, I'm standing up, I'm holding their government to account, and the Prime Minister is missing.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister gets angry and runs out the door rather than answering the questions about the cost. $1,000 for every tax-paying family to a company that is shipping jobs out of the country. Why is he sending our dollars away, our jobs away, while he runs away?
Okay, so what you heard. So the rule is, for those that don't know, the rule is you cannot comment on the fact that a member of parliament is or is not in their seat in the House. That's the rule, right? So you can't say, well, you know, the Prime Minister is not here and he's not answering my questions. You know, you're not allowed to do that. Why? Because it would imply that the person isn't there doing their job, and it's disrespecting the member and implying that they are not honorable. Now, let's not even talk about the fact whether Mark Carney is honorable or not, but that's the rule. So what Pierre's saying, well, running out the door, well, that's not, and you heard people yell out to the speaker, he's not commenting on whether he's here or not. And I think that's why Scarpelli just sat back down, because he didn't comment on whether he was in the House or not. He just said running out the door, which is pretty close. But I will, you know, I've been very impressed by the speaker. He's been extremely fair, extremely, way better than Greg Fergus. So I will give him a lot of credit.
Honourable Minister of Finance.
Question on this side of the House, every single member on this side, Mr. Speaker, we're fighting for Canada. We're fighting for our auto industry. We're fighting for our workers. We're fighting to build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker. We should all join to defend our workers in the middle of a trade war. We don't need that kind of conservative politics. We need to stand up for Canada, build Canada strong. I believe in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. I hear the barking. I definitely hear the barking. And the logic is we're fighting for Canada. Okay, let's just assume that I believe you. Then you're doing a terrible job at fighting for Canada, and we need somebody else that actually knows how to fight. That's my thoughts on that. And the classic left-wing logic of, and if you don't agree with us, then you're against Canada. This is the guilt shaming. This is the woke approach to trying to bully everybody into agreeing with you. If you don't agree with me, then you're wrong.
The Prime Minister cannot stand up for workers if he cannot even stand up and answer my questions, Mr. Speaker. And that Finance Minister is not stood up for workers either. He signed a $15 billion sweetheart subsidy deal with Stellantis. And now, that same company, taking our tax dollars, the equivalent of $1,000 for every family in Canada, is shipping the jobs to the United States of America. The current industry minister says she has not even read the $15 billion contract. Has the Prime Minister even read the contract, or did he simply look at the $15 billion deal and say, who cares?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, Canadians who are watching at home are looking at someone whose only need is ever made was to come to this House, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we have always stood to make sure we will build this country. We will attract investment, Mr. Speaker. He should be ashamed. Ask Canadian, when is the last deal he brought in this country, Mr. Speaker? Ask him when he created one job in his country apart his own job, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will always stand for workers. We will bring investment. We will build the strongest economy in the G7 because we believe in Canada. We're going to fight, Mr. Speaker, every single day for Canada.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
It's something, right? It's something to listen to this stuff, and I feel for the Conservative MPs and even the rest of the opposition having to sit there and listen to this insanity coming from the Liberals over and over and over again. It's crazy. And we know that Prime Minister Carney has not read this deal because his own government officials told us. That's the one thing that I now believe that they actually said that was true. So, yeah, giving companies money for jobs to go south, this is going to be the new narrative. And as we said, as soon as Mark Carney said the who cares line, what did we say? The Conservatives were going to milk that repeatedly, and absolutely they should.
You're going to go and report to the Prime Minister to the Witness Protection Program because he refuses to stand in this House and answer about his government's expenditure of $15 billion, $1,000 for every Canadian family to one company, supposedly to create jobs. That same company now ships those jobs south of the border, and the government is covering up the contract. Yesterday we learned from the company that they don't have any reason to retract the contract. So why doesn't the government release the full details of the contract so that Canadians can find out how badly the Prime Minister ripped them off?
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
3 points. First, he should ask the member from Windsor-Tecumseh from his side of the House whether she agrees with what he says regarding the Stellantis workers in Windsor. First. Second, when it comes to the documents, the committee members will have access to all the documents. That's a moot question.
That's right.
Third, when it comes to what is happening with Stellantis at Brampton, we had a contract. They broke the contract. Stellantis did. We'll get our money back, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
So Jolie finally speaks and says it's a moot point. No, that's not how this works. You have government officials, your department, Jolie, going to committee, flat out lying repeatedly. As we showed in our video that we dropped last night, and you'll be able to see that at the end of this video if you haven't seen it, lying repeatedly to parliamentarians in committee, which is contempt of parliament, might I add. And because you guys got caught, that Stellantis put out a letter saying, you guys are saying we redacted the documents. We redacted nothing. So anything that would have been redacted, that's the government. And now you're trying to say, well, let's just forget about that. That's a moot point because we got caught. Now we're going to give you the documents. No, that's not how this works.
3 points, Mr. Speaker, about this $15 billion bailout and handout. She didn't read the contract, she didn't read the contract, and she didn't read the contract. How can she possibly claim she's going to get the money back when she doesn't know what legal powers are in the contract? Because she admits she didn't read the contract, Mr. Speaker. So my question to her, as families are lining up at food banks because they can't afford food, how does she justify charging every single household $1,000 for a handout to a company shipping jobs south of the border?
Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I didn't admit that. Second, I read the contract. And third, the committee members will have all the details. That being said, Mr. Speaker, what we'll do is we will fight for these jobs. We know that the workers are affected in the auto sector, in the steel sector, by the unjustified and unjustifiable American tariffs. And we will make sure that we get these jobs back to Canada, and we'll fight for every single job, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so Pierre completely rattled Jolie with that response. You can tell just based on how she stood up and how she tried to answer that. She says, oh, well, you know, I've read the contract. Well, not according to your government officials. And reading it this morning, it's kind of late. Right? It's kind of late. You know, now you've seen the contract. Well, I thought it was redacted. I thought you're not allowed to read it. But she is looking so bad right now. And Pierre is just eviscerating her. She is rattled. I can't even tell. And then she tries to say, well, we're going to get our money back. Oh, just like you got the Arrive Can money back, right? Just like you got the Green Slush Fund money back? Right. Where's the trust level of Canadians? I don't think it's gone above zero in the last 10 years.
Yesterday, we found out that the Liberals knew Algoma was planning to lay off 1,000 steel workers before giving the company $400 million. I guess the Prime Minister was speaking the truth. He really doesn't care about protecting Canadian jobs. You know who does care? Conservatives care. And so do the thousands of Hamilton steel and manufacturing workers who go to bed every night wondering if they're going to have a job in the morning. Why is it with these Liberals there's always a guarantee for corporate welfare, but zero guarantees for the Canadian worker?
When my colleague is talking about corporate welfare, what I'm saying to him is actually that workers are worth every dime, and particularly Algoma ones in light of the American unjustified tariffs. And that is exactly why we decided, along with the Conservatives in Ontario, actually with Doug Ford's government, to support the company as it was facing existential threat. The company was not going well. We knew we needed to help. We decided to make the investments, and meanwhile, we know that the future can be brighter because we're working on two things: a steel plant, a beam mill, and a plate mill for defense and infrastructure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ned Curick, our MP for Hamilton East Stony Creek, completely rattling, and frickin' Melanie Jolie again. Wow. She couldn't get it out. She tried to respond to the corporate welfare thing, and she couldn't get it out. And your ace in the hole is to talk about Doug Ford and the Ontario government? Are you kidding me?
The honourable member for North Island, Powell River.
Devastated, gutted, heartbroken. Just three of the emotions I felt after learning 375 Canadians would be losing their jobs with the closing of the Crofton Mill. These are Canadians with mortgage payments, with young families, Canadians who were already struggling with the rising cost of living before receiving this terrible news. This government promised to support our workers and secure market access for our goods. Instead, lumber tariffs have tripled and thousands of Canadians have lost their jobs. If their so-called plan is really working, can they guarantee that no more mills in Canada will close as a result?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Seniors.
Mr. Speaker, that Conservative member needs to take several seats. On my riding of Vancouver Island, I can tell you that they know we are supporting the softwood lumber industry, whereas their plan is to, quote, get out of the way, to, quote, do nothing. Our government is investing in...
So you can hear the emotion now flying in the House, and it's, I was gonna say that it's good to hear, but it's sad. It's devastating to hear that that's what needs to happen, right? You have all of these mills closing. Over 30 mills in Canada closing. And you have all these people losing their jobs because Mark Carney loves traveling to Europe. It's where all his buddies are. It's where all his connections are. And most of his money is down in the States. So if he really believed that Canada was going to do really well, why is his money not in Canada? And that's the question that people have to wrestle with. And when you have a Liberal minister saying, well, you know, Canadians know that we're standing up for softwood lumber. How? Like, you tell us how. And you can't say, well, we're throwing hundreds of millions of dollars around to support companies because we can't get a trade deal done with Donald Trump, even though that was literally our entire election platform. That's what it was all based around. He's the one that can handle Donald Trump. Well, there hasn't really been much handling going on, is there? No. So yeah, Conservatives are getting really ticked off, and they're screaming at you across the House because they're like, what are you even saying? Like, you don't give a damn about your constituents. Because otherwise you wouldn't be standing up and giving such a ridiculous answer. And this is the sad part, folks. We got a lot of flack from people saying that we were supporting the budget. We weren't supporting the budget. But we know strategically the budget had to pass. Why? Not because we want more Carney government, not because we didn't want to go an election. Because you need to have, unfortunately, the swing voters understand even more pain. that the issues that we're having right now is not a Donald Trump problem. It's not a Mark Carney Trudeau problem. It's a liberal problem. That's why. And it's unfortunate because all of the rest of the Canadians that already know this are having to deal with even more pain. So this is why we're here. But this is the consequences that we need to see. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be more as a result of this. But hopefully, swing voters start to finally realize, you know what? Maybe it is the Liberals that are the problem. Because they're the only ones that have been around over the last 10 years. 2 different types of party presidents in the United States over that time. 1 party in power in Canada. And why is everybody else doing better than we are?